Do you know Singapore's Group Representative Constituency scheme, or the GRC, is one of the most unique electoral systems in the world? And do you know what effects this electoral rule has on Singapore's party system and its voters? Hi, my name is Netina Tan, and I'm a political scientist, and I work on elections and party politics. In 1988, the PAP government introduced the GRC. This changed the 79 single seats based on first-past-the-post system to a mix of single and multi-member districts based on plurality party block vote rule. And fun fact, do you know where else in the world comes close to having an electoral system like Singapore's? In sub-Saharan Africa, Cameroon, Chad, Djibouti, and Senegal. These countries have a mix of single and mixed member districts. And in these African cases, the way which party block vote rule is used exaggerates the way votes translate to seats for the largest party. This creates high electoral disproportionality and landslide victory for the ruling party, just like in Singapore. And more about that later. Singapore's GRC is designed such that a voter elects a group of 4 to 6 candidates with at least one ethnic minority race. The winning party, with a simple plurality or more votes than other parties, takes all the seats in the group constituency. Singapore's GRC is a form of ethnic quota, an affirmative action to address any discrimination against racial minority candidates. Well, ethnic quota is nothing new. More than 35 countries in the world have mechanisms such as reserve seats and candidate quota to guarantee the representation of ethnic minorities in the parliament or other political offices. In Asia, Singapore is one of 9 countries that have ethnic quota policy. Rules have effects and can constrain behavior. Similarly, electoral rules such as the GRC has what we call mechanical and psychological effects on parties and voters. While the mechanical effects refer to how the electoral rules affect how votes translates to seat shares, the psychological effects describe how parties and voters change their strategies in response to the mechanical effects. Since the GRC scheme was introduced in 1988, the effective number of parliamentary parties has been repressed, while the way which vote shares translate to seat shares has become more disproportional. The GRC scheme has a reductive effect on the number of parliamentary parties, despite having more contesting electoral parties. As the red line shows, while there are electoral parties earning popular votes after 1988, the number of parliamentary parties with seat shares shown by the green line has remained about the same. This shows that the GRC system underrepresents the contesting parties. This represses the effective number of parliamentary parties at 1.1, producing a supermajority government. Singapore's electoral rule also does not do a good job converting votes to seat shares. Perfect proportionality is when party receives the same seat share as their vote shares. GRC based on plurality party block vote rule generates a high degree of disproportionality, where the party's seat shares deviate from their vote shares. In fact, the index of disproportionality based on Gallagher's index hit a high of 29.3 in 2011 general election. The high disproportionality shows that the largest party, or the PAP, is overrepresented in Parliament. Singapore now has the highest disproportionality in Asia, with an average of 22.1 compared to an average of 7.6 in the region. The GRC also asserts psychological effects on parties and voters. Well, it is difficult to assess the psychological effects, but what is clear is that for 3 elections after the GRC was introduced, the number of uncontested seats skyrocketed, hitting the high of 65.5% in 2001 general election. Based on the distribution of opposition vote shares across the island, Singapore voters are now shying away from smaller parties to avoid wasted vote. As voters only choose between parties rather than candidates under the GRC scheme, voters are drawn to bigger parties with clear party identity rather than vote based on the candidate or their traits. So, what does this mean for contesting parties and candidates? To be electable in the GRCs, parties now need to be inclusive, focus on cross-cutting issues to appeal to a wide spectrum of voters. Parties can no longer campaign based on ethno-religious issue or any one particular issue, as ethnic minority voters are now spatially distributed across all the constituencies because of ethnic housing quota policy. Small parties now need to coordinate or form alliances to field candidates strategically to have any chance of being elected. In sum, Singapore's GRC scheme rewards larger established parties. The multi-member party block vote rule produces a small number of parliamentary parties and high electoral disproportionality. While this leads to supermajority, stable government, it is also less representative.